This is the Tech Alley. I'm Tabiso Shabalala and I never travel alone. We've now been at this for a year. We recently celebrated our 1 year anniversary and we got a big show for you guys now for the 1 year anniversary. Bonga, what's up?
How's it, man? Well,
I'm alright. Just struggling with school, and I know you're struggling with school
I think at this point everyone is tired of hearing us talking about school. We've been at it for almost a year and probably still have another year to go. So I think we're not going to bother you that much with our school one this time around. We're just going to go straight into it. So this week we have a very interesting guest. Our guest here from a company called SovTech. Those watching the video can already see the banner. It's looking all beautiful and forwardly.
Nice location for you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, changing background as well. Normally we record at this guy's house, and we thought, hey, how about we take it a bit more corporate-y today and see how the change of scenery will be. So, Tabiso, please do the honors and
we've got a couple of very, very smart gentlemen in the room with us. We've got Jonno and we've got Luke, who are both members of the SovTech team. They're on the business development side, if I've got that correct. Guys, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, guys. Good to be here.
Second of all, can you guys please just tell us a bit about yourselves and then what it is that you guys do here at SovTech before we get into SovTech? The people would like to know a bit about who we're actually chatting to. So, Jonno, you go first.
Fantastic. So, a bit about myself. That's a tough one. I normally love talking about myself, but in a formal environment, it can be a little bit scary.
No, you don't have to make it formal. Just go. We don't want to be formal per se, actually.
Oh, fantastic. So, I think I've been involved in the tech space for about 6 years, maybe 7 years now. Come from a sort of business development, sales, and that's basically what I head up at SovTech. So, all about sort of taking my sort of slogan, taking technology to the people, and trying to understand and find software solutions that can pretty much solve the daily problems that guys are having, that companies are having, that people are having, and that's my daily goal is ultimately just to bring software to the people. Cool. Very, very basically.
Yourself, Luke?
Nice, yeah. So I've been at SovTech for 2 years now. I'm heading up one of the divisions here. Also, very passionate about sort of new technologies. Don't want to take something from Jonno, but also I think with technology becoming so much more accessible, it is actually something that we can give to the normal person on a daily basis. But very interested in business, starting business, growing business, and then obviously what a better space than the technology sort of industry to sort of grow and get that started. Yeah.
Okay, so so let's put it in the spot here, but in layman terms, what is SovTech? If you were to explain to someone, to a man on the streets, and you had to do a pitch about it, what is SovTech?
Sure. So SovTech, plain and simple, is we're looking at taking what you call Silicon Valley technologies, is what you see over there in California, and basically we are looking at addressing uniquely African issues with uniquely African solutions, and what a better way to do it than through the use of world-class technology. What we're trying to do is we strongly believe that technology is eating the world one bite at a time kind of thing, and every sort of aspect of life there will be some sort of technology aspect to it, and SovTech is just trying to unlock that and take it forward.
Yeah, I think our slogan, business software sorted, pretty much defines everything. So our goal at SovTech is pretty much to go into organizations and say, right guys, where are your problems? And we believe that every problem that people have, from a personal to a company to a global level, there's a software solution for that. So we've got a team of developers that pretty much can code and solve any problem, and it's up to us to try and figure out how we're going to solve that problem, and what's the best method to actually solving that problem. So yeah.
Take us through the way in which the teams work. So obviously you guys are on the business development side, on the sales side. We've got probably a team of coders and programmers that live in a dungeon somewhere in a bigger building. across the world.
The first time I came here, I mistakenly went into the developers building. I walk in and it looks like it is a mini Silicon Valley. Everyone is with their headset. Everyone with three screens next to each other. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this is quite a sophisticated operation that actually is going on over here.
Yeah, so we've got sort of three sort of divisions, well actually now 4 divisions.
Yep.
The first one being what we call the sort of blueprint team.
Yep.
These guys are the designers, the business analysts, the product analysts. These guys will initially, work with Jonno and the business development team. Once we've sort of determined what the correct solution is, these are the guys that set out this blueprint, which is the physical design, as well as sort of the design, the user stories, the actual sort of bulk of what we are going to build. We were quite proud in the fact that we can actually get this blueprint phase down to about 2 weeks.
Sure.
So we can sort of scope it out and design it in about 2 weeks, which then allows us to then use one of our 3 divisions, those being one being product labs, called product labs because we take a build from scratch. We will build your product from scratch in a sort of fixed timeline, fixed price sort of method, where, as we'll say we can get this done in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. We'll commit to a fixed price, and we will then be able to. We're very confident that we can get it done in that time. The second sort of business unit or division is DaaS, which stands for Developers as a Service. These guys typically look at VC-funded startups all the way to the sort of big enterprises, and we look at putting in these big DaaS teams, which consists of a couple of developers, a product owner, there's some CTO insight. So it's the big sort of chunky teams that look at going and sort of completely revolutionizing sort of enterprises or building out VC-funded startups that will then take to market. And then the third business unit, Product Advance, which is the one that I run, we typically look at taking existing products and how do we take those to market. And we sort of operate on a very responsive and agile sort of approach where you need something done, you're getting some market feedback from getting market feedback, as well as sort of looking at data and analytics, and using that information, we're then able to say, I think this is the new features we should go in, or these are the new sort of directions we need to move. So that's typically how we look at solving problems in the tech space through those sort of divisions.
Cool.
Developer as a service is quite an interesting thing. I've actually never really it was my first time coming across a concept of providing developers as a service, is how you put it. But how do you see that any different to your normal regular consulting?
So it's in sense, look, there is a consulting aspect to it, which is sort of the CTO insight that would say. But these teams, obviously, they're using agile methodology as well. They're mainly in the JavaScript space as well. But these teams are fully designed to take control of your sort of tech, call it your tech issues, so that the business can actually focus on their business while we focus on the tech. The whole idea is that these teams sort of run from what we call sprint 0, which is the sort of the first phase, all the way through, and typically these teams actually turn into the core part of the business.
So I mean,
you pretty much become an extension of your organization.
So the question becomes, if we're offering design or development as a service upfront for a funded VC, the idea is that you actually bring in a technology team with a CTO or CTO insights. How do you guys deal with possible poaching, because they become an extension of that particular CTO office?
100%.
How do you guys deal with the fact that if they're building the technology within that particular business, and as the business grows, they grow in that business, how do you guys deal with bringing them back?
They become experts in the place where...
If they do come back, how do you reintegrate them into SovTech? And if they do leave, how do you guys deal with that loss of skill?
Sure, 100%.
Yeah, I think so. So I think just to go back quickly, I think so vital the point that was raised about all our developers sitting in the room across the road there, because so often, people have come to us and they said, listen, we went to go get the software developed, and suddenly our developer was sitting in Poland, or suddenly our developer was sitting in India, or some random country somewhere,
which is where they are, by the way.
Most of the time,
most of the time. So that's one thing that we try and push. And at the end of the day, all of our developers are employed by SovTech.
Cool.
They all sit in house. They all are defined and governed by our sort of methodology that we stand by. So at the end of the day, we love bringing clients here and saying, come have a look, let's go and have a look. This is going to be your team.
Okay.
This is the team that's building that app. This is the team that's building that platform.
Cool.
And you can meet them, interact with them, and we don't outsource, if I can put it that way. And the fact that here are a few developers, if you need something built, here are a few developers. That's they're now part of your team. It is like that, but not really, in the fact that when you take on SovTech, you take on the SovTech team, the whole team. It's not just the developers, it's the designers, it's the product owners, it's the Scrum Masters, it's everyone. So, and everyone sits in house. So everyone's working on different projects, and the fact that they're governed by our methodology, we feel that we've got the best way to build software in the world. We've brought the Silicon Valley, technologies and aspects into what we're doing. And we believe that we found this niche in the market, and we generally do believe that we're the best software company in Africa, and we are building software in a way that is global and is scalable, which is ultimately what it all boils down to.
So the people element is coming out very strong over here. If I'm a young programmer or developer and I want to work for SovTech, obviously the skill set is easy to acquire from a development perspective, whether it's Python, whether it's Java, whether it's C++. What type of people are you therefore looking for that fit the SovTech principles and can work within the SovTech environment and be good people for SovTech and represent SovTech well?
To touch on that, I mean, we've got a very strong culture. We are very dev-centric in that sense, but I think it speaks a lot for the kind of people that we've been working for. I think every person has almost referred another person that has worked at SovTech.
Okay.
So it's great to see that, on one hand, if we're having our employees actually refer to other people to come work here, that already means that SovTech is doing a great job and is a great place to work. But the typical kind of person that we're looking for at SovTech is just someone that is hardworking, work hard, play hard, very important. Someone that can take accountability, someone that's not scared to put in a little bit of extra work every now and then, someone who likes being on the cutting edge of innovation, someone who's looking to use the newest technologies out there. We talk about blockchain and AI and virtual reality and all of that, but not many people are talking about it, but not many people are actually using it. And at SovTech, we actually are at the sort of forefront of using those kind of technologies.
So now, I think this is going to come to what I had a keen interest in. Without going into too much detail, what are some of the things that you've done with those technologies in recent times, and how has that worked out for SovTech as a company, as it is?
Sure, that's a good question. I think as I said, we try to position ourselves as problem solvers at the end of the day. So organizations and individuals come to us with problems, and we solve them with solutions. So we have got clients across the board that have come to us and said, listen, we need to digitize our entire business. We need to build a front-end platform that does X, Y, and Z. We need to, there's so many, everyone's got problems. Every business has problems. And the fact that we can come in, join that team, become a part of that organization, and then actually build a software that solves that issue. And I think if you look at some of our clients, it's something like a Yalu or an
Nando's.
Exactly.
So because I'm looking here at some of the stuff that you've done, and I'm taking a quite a keen interest. If you can be able to delve in a little bit on this Away2 project, the one that won MTN App of the Year. Apparently, well, from what I see here, it was it's a mobile e-based learning platform combined.
Such a great app. Such a great app.
for skills of training. So I think that's kind of like I'm drawn to it because it's kind of like our typical listener will be something they want to use. I mean, if you look into the greater economical factors of this country, you have a lot of people that are not employed but are keen on starting up their own things. People are keen to become maybe the next SovTech, where they're running their own kind of like small tech company that solves localized issues where they are, but they probably don't know where to start, how to do it. And so when I'm looking at an app like this, it seems like it's something that can help a person who's in such a situation, who's determined to learn and wants to know something, but doesn't really know about the existence of this product or doesn't know about it well. So I think what I'm keen on learning a bit more is, if you can be able to delve in a bit deeper, what exactly is this project? What need does it solve, and how is it currently performing? If you
sure.
have view of that.
The Away2 project, we built that, I think it was about 2 years ago. So basically what it was sort of aiming to solve, or the problem it was aiming to solve, is that, as you said, there are a lot of young South Africans that, there's no shortage of skill in South Africa. There's a shortage of resources, and I think that's sort of evident, as you say, in the current economic climate that we're in. But the Away2 project aimed to assist the sort of everyday man with just a little bit more sort of business acumen on how to, if you'd like to start a business, or if you'd like to grow your business, how do you go about that? So the Away2 project would give, you can download the app and say you're a spaza shop vendor and you want to now actually you're not running the business very well, or you would like to make it more efficient, or sort of improve it somehow. How do you go about that? Well, the Away2 project, the app would then say, I think the name was Tando, was like the guy that would pop up on the screen, and he would help you and say like, okay, let's look at the few sort of lessons that we have today. And he would then say, all right, let's look at, initially at first, right, let's look at gross profit and net profit. And then the everyday kind of man might not know what gross profit and net profit is. So
they just know money coming in and money going out.
Exactly. So then the learnings from getting that sort of market feedback initially was like, okay, cool. Let's now change it and say, all right, so money in, how much money has been brought in today? Okay. Now, how much money have you made after you've settled all your expenses? Okay, cool. So that is now net profit, and that is gross profit, and those are the sort of learnings that you can get from that sort of app. So again, just focusing at just giving everyone a little bit more business acumen, and I think that's why we won the award, because it was addressing an issue that was quite evident out there.
Ultimately it just gamified the entire sort of business process. And put it into layman's terms for people on selling their wares on the side of the road. That's okay, here's some lessons that we need to learn. Right, if I've got X amount of money, if I spend it on this and sell it for this is how much money I can take out at the end of the day. And constantly this feedback loop of information that we're able to push to people through the app enabled them to pretty much have this accounting software in their pocket. And it provided, almost an accounting platform to anyone who had a mobile phone, which was absolutely incredible.
So there's accounting basics, and then there's accounting basics with this kind of project.
Exactly.
That's quite interesting. Well, for me, because I think that that's what draws me towards technology as a whole, where you have solutions that are mass effective, or on a larger scope for people, where you can take things, make them easier, make them understandable, and then make them usable to as many people as possible. The second one that I actually wanted to ask you about, and this is the last question on the product, is FinCheck.
Sure. So FinCheck, they were one of the first DAS clients, and they still are. They've got a wonderful relationship with SovTech. So they are a credit check. So I don't think anybody in this room knows what their credit score is. I know for a fact that I don't. But
after being birthed for a couple of years, I've had to learn. I was like.
So it initially started out as just a free sort of engine where you can go and check what your credit rating is, how you can maybe get a better score, what you can sort of do, and then it's sort of evolved. And again, this is the beauty of having a sort of DAS team associated with your business, is that through some of the insight from the DAS team, they then said, guys, look, you're getting a lot of people visiting your site, looking at their credit score. Maybe these guys, the main reason they're looking for this is that they're looking for a loan.
Yeah.
So now FinCheck has evolved into a sort of lead generator for loan providers.
Oh.
So now it's, on the one hand, it's so you can go and check your credit score, but now on the other hand, loan providers are going to Finch and saying, listen, you have all of this information and all of this data about people that are most likely looking for loans. Let's see how we can evolve this. And again, that is just something about having a SovTech team with you, guys sort of really taking on each project and making their own. I always say to all of the sort of project managers and the product owners, like, think of yourself as the CEO of this project. Take it to new heights, and it's only going to do better only going to show that we're very customer centric, which is exactly what we try to do with every single customer. And we just want to build wonderful relationships with our clients. As a result of that, I think we've got 3 or 4 new clients because FinCheck has said, guys, you won't believe it.
You want to use these
We've
people.
actually got a service provider that is helping us grow our own business, and they're actually interested in what we're doing. So I would highly recommend using SovTech, because they're not just in it for the invoice at the end of the month. They actually truly take care and interest in what we are doing. And I think that again just speaks to what we're doing here at SovTech and how we're trying to grow.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, world-class software built by African developers. What more do you want?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we've talked a bit about some of the industries that you've helped in the finance space and industrial or sort of. Let's just talk about the 4 key technologies that you guys use. So it's web, it's mobile, there's a bit of blockchain.
There's a little bit of blockchain.
And there's APIs, of course. The Aware 2 was a mobile app.
Yeah.
And FinCheck is sort of web-based. What blockchain projects are you guys currently working on today, if you can give us some insights there?
So there's one called UBU, which stands for Universal Basic Unit. They started initially as a VC-funded startup. They were
VC is in venture capital, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So,
just checking the terms.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So the main funders are actually from. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think is it Norway. Sure. Not Norway. I think one of the Scandinavian countries. I forget. Sorry. But initially, what they were saying is that again, it's addressing some issues in Southern Africa. Saying, listen, what we want to do is give people a sort of give people Ubus each day. You'll get 100 Ubus each day, and then if you don't use them, they sort of expire
back into the system.
But so what happens with Uber is that there are a whole bunch of vendors that have signed up for the platform. One that I can think of is just Rocco Mama's down the road. You can go and spend your Ubus and get free milkshake and waffle, or etc. etc. And then the vendors can then exchange those Ubus for cash.
Oh.
So it's essentially trying just to give almost kickstart a bit more of an economic environment, in which case that everyone gets a little bit more if they spend a bit more, if that makes sense. So Ubu was originally built by Product Labs, and then now they're also moved to the DAS team, and they have been growing at an exponential rate. I think the last time I checked, they was sitting on about 9,000 transactions a day.
Sure.
That's
That's
quite massive.
So
volumes.
it's very impressive. Probably one of our bigger clients, and again someone that took a chance on SovTech to begin with, and have now, just as we say, with the exponential growth, they've got us to thank for that, I think. But yeah, just another wonderful example of how there was a problem that was needed to be addressed. We will use the sort of available technologies out there to sort of find that or solve that problem.
Absolutely.
But I mean, also just quite a big feather in our cap. It was, I think, unofficially the first ICO in Africa, African ICO.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and we pretty much pioneered that entire operation. And like Luke said, it's just gone from strength to strength to strength, and the entire system is actually just a giant experiment to see what people spend their money on.
It's very interesting.
So
For the listeners out there, some of you will know what an IPO is, which is an initial public offering where a company comes to the public markets to raise capital. An ICO is an initial cryptocurrency offering where cryptocurrencies or digital currencies come to the markets to try and say, hey, you can now use this cryptocurrency if you enter through our platform. And the blockchain is mostly what cryptocurrencies use as their form of transport, if I can call it that.
Ledger,
It's basically a distributed ledger, which means you can track the movement of a single piece of that currency throughout its whole life. So you can track when an Ubu goes from Luke to Rocco Mamas, and then when Rocco Mamas exchanges that Ubu back into cash. So you can actually track that whole transaction. And for them to be doing 9,000 every single day is actually quite impressive. If you think about how small the cryptocurrency market is in South Africa, if you think about how small that is.
So those 9,000 transactions are actually locally here, or is it cross-regional across the continent, or how is it spread out?
It's just in South Africa.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. Well, that's interesting. You see, there's a whole lot more that you guys have that I, personally haven't came across, and I think it's quite some interesting solutions. So we've kind of covered the organization as a whole. What I'd like to actually try to get to now is that we've already touched on the people and the people skills. Technology or technological skills are in abundance in terms of like the catalog of what you can choose from. But what essentially, if I'm a person now who's either a graduate who's looking to get into technology, and obviously in these days you'll get a lot of school leaving people wanting to move into dynamic, fast-changing tech teams as opposed to maybe going into big corporates and becoming just one of the staff there. What is the sort of like the actual, or I'm more interested in actually bringing out what are the core skills that from a technology point of view SovTech is looking for, that someone might say, hey, actually, I like this company, I like this profile, I'm the kind of person that they might be looking for, but in terms of like the skills alignment, what's the kind of like skills that one might actually need to possess in order to be able to thrive and succeed here?
Sure, absolutely. So we made a decision about a year ago that we would try use or focus more on the JavaScript space in terms of coding, looking at frameworks like React and React Native, Node.js on the back end, AngularJS, a bit of Vue.js, but we obviously still, to give you some background into that, that is the fastest growing language in the world. We're very proud to be from South Africa, but we need to also keep up with the global trends as we continue to,
global trends have no borders.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I mean, we obviously, from a SovTech point of view, we're looking to expand globally and quite rapidly. But from a technology point of view, we also need to match that with the technologies that we use. I'd say South Africa is probably about 5 years behind the rest of the world and sort of the new technologies that we're using. We obviously do still service C# and Java, Python, as you mentioned before, PHP, but the rest of the world is building all of the new sort of technologies in JavaScript.
Yeah.
We also, from the architectural side, we use AWS, Amazon Web Services.
Okay.
We also made that decision that it works really well with JavaScript. It's really easy to deploy and build. I think AWS, they launch, I think it's like 2 products, new products every day. There's like a new product that they build, the one that they've updated. They're just a massive machine. They're sort of leaving Microsoft Azure a little bit behind at the moment.
That is the big battle out there.
That is the big battle. Yeah, if you're talking about sort of the managed hosting services, it's just this massive battle between Azure and AWS. But if I was to say right now, go and get yourself an AWS certification, familiarize yourself with that, start looking at JavaScript. And I mean, so we say we're using React and React Native. That's what Instagram, Facebook, Airbnb is all built in. We want to be, as we say, on the cutting edge of technology and using all of this technology. So I would say go and get yourself sort of familiarized with those technologies.
Now, I mean, also from a people perspective as well. I mean, you can be the best developer in the world, and if you don't fit into what SovTech believes in, and you don't fit into our culture, then you're not going to be a fit here, even if you are the smartest person in the room. Yeah. So, we're looking for people that are actively bought into what we're trying to do, and what we're trying to do is become the best software company from Africa in the world. So, if you bought into that, if you have, this ideal that you're going to grow, what we're trying to portray to the world, then come on in. Come and give us a shout.
Cool. And as you guys on the YouTube video can see, this is the daily attire for SovTech. It's very nice to have yarnas, short shorts, and simple tops. I mean, if you can come to work like that, why would you want to work anywhere else?
I'll tell you one of my favorite stories about the sort of attire that we're wearing now. We're going to Standard Bank to go and sort of pitch a MVP build for them. Me and Jonno being more client-facing, we'll wear chinos at least, a collared shirt, etc. And then I remember being in the lobby, and then we were just waiting for our lead developer. And as you walked in, I looked and I was just shocked, but also not surprised. He walked in, I think, in a t-shirt, rugby shorts and slops into the Standard Bank corporate office, where we then spoke to a couple of sort of important high-up people, but
who were probably in suits as well.
Who were most definitely in suits. But the best thing is that as soon as his name was Jonno, as soon as he started talking, everyone was just sat back and were like, "Ooh, this guy
is the guy
actually knows what he's talking about." Exactly.
At least you were safe by that, because it would have been much worse had it been the other way around.
Well, exactly. That's we believe also, dress for your day.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what you sort of wear. I know as summer's fast approaching, I'll be in my slops and shorts soon as well. So, it's again, it sort of just speaks to the sort of culture that we're trying to develop, and it's just, you don't need to dress fancy to be smart.
Yep.
I think it, as I say, just speaks to the sort of culture we're sort of cultivating here.
Okay, so I think drawing towards the end, the one thing obviously an interested listener would want to now know is that the company in itself, where does it see itself going into the future?
Sure. So we, at the beginning of the year, opened up offices down in Cape Town. We've got, about 3 months ago, we set up ourselves in London. We've been going for about 8 years now, and the next sort of over the last 2 years we've seen really aggressive growth. The goal is always 100% year on year. It's the only way that we're going to attain our sort of call it very very high sort of
ambitious
standards
goals.
and ambitions that we're trying to go for. Look, we would love to say in 5 years that we'll have 40 offices around the world. You know, obviously we're looking at South Africa, the UK, the US is a big untapped market that we will probably look at opening opening an office at least in the next 2 years. But it is just that, you know, we know what we're doing in terms of the solutions that we can solve. Now it's just let us go do it for everyone around the world.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back to the point I made earlier, which was, you know, what are we doing on a daily basis? Taking software to the people. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're also taking Africa to the people.
Yeah.
And, you know, being African is so core to what we believe in. And as Luke said earlier, there's no shortage of skill around us. Absolutely none. And we are trying to bring that skill together, you know, put it all in one place and show the world what Africa is capable of, and really just taking, you know, world-class software, world-class business, and showing everyone what is possible when you do all of that. And yes, we might be a few years behind, but I believe we are rapidly catching up. Rapidly catching up, and people will soon be hearing the SovTech brand, not only in Africa, but in the US, in Europe, Australia. It's all happening. And, you know, that is so core to what we believe in, and ultimately that's where we're going.
And the continent as a whole provides massive opportunities that cannot even be quantified as we speak. It's quite a lot that stands out there. Okay, well, it's been quite an insightful conversation from my side. I think I'll be definitely, after this, I'll be checking out this YouTube app, because I think it's something of keen interest to me. I have so many people that I know that would want to see how it works and its ins and outs. And yeah, from my side, that's it. It's been a great conversation. Thanks, fellas. Tabi, so any closing remarks?
No, I'm very happy. I think thank you very much, guys, for coming through. Before we end, how do we get in contact with SovTech? If I'm a small business that requires help from SovTech, if I'm a platform business, what are the details?
So, I mean, I think the easiest way, obviously, is to go type SovTech into Google, and we'll pop up there with all the information. But you can actually just, well, I mean, if our marketing team, our very good marketing team has done their job, then anything that you type in with regards to software, you know, will pop up. You know, we should be right up there. But yeah, it's such a broad spectrum of things that we can do. You know, if anyone has a problem, business, anything that might happen, you know, we the people that can build software to solve that issue.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and just touching on that, so yeah, obviously just go check out sovtech.co.za, and then find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the usual sort of all the usual social media places, and hopefully we will hear from you guys soon.
Fantastic. We'll put up the details on the podcast page as well for this episode, so we'll be able to find all those SovTech details. And of course, we're at the Tech Alley on YouTube, Tech Alley on Facebook, Tech
Twitter,
Alley on
LinkedIn.
Instagram,
Everywhere.
find us on Apple Podcasts, find us on Spotify. It's been a fantastic episode. Luke and Jonno, thank you very much for having us in the offices, and we really appreciate this episode. And we'll be back with another episode for you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Ciao.
Cheers.